I am here to do a quick birthday book haul. March is my birthday month, and I received some books as gifts, and some of these books I bought for myself as a gift. There's not that many. I know that I've talked about my goal to read down my TBR shelves, so that is still happening and effective this year. Also, I just have not had as much time to read, so I've been reading a little bit less. And I also am implementing the strategy of trying to utilize my local library more instead of constantly purchasing books and then having books that I end up unhauling that I have never read and end up realizing that I'm never gonna read. My book hauls are going to be fewer and further between, and they are also going to be smaller. But nevertheless, I have about 9 books here, I think, to talk about. I'm sorry. My dog is sitting on this chair with me and she keeps knocking the tripod. So we're gonna just scoot her over a little bit. Okay, Bean, stay there. Okay. All right, so these are in no particular order. I'm just grabbing them off the stack as I go. The first one that I have to talk about, I would consider a novella, a short story. It is only about 102 pages long, and that is a short Stay in Hell by Stephen Peck. I actually have already read this book, novella, whatever you want to call it, and I think it is fantastic. So essentially this is the story of a man who dies and he finds himself in hell. And his hell is a massive, almost infinite library in which there are other persons there, and the goal for them is to find their story in this library. And all they come across are books with gibberish in them, just endless amounts of letters strewn together in no particular order. And when one of them does happen to find an entire book that has one complete sentence in it, it's a big deal. All of these weird, chaotic things begin to happen. It is pretty disturbing. I found it very interesting and a unique take on hell, or purgatory, I guess. At first I thought to myself, this would actually be a pretty cool hell. Like I wouldn't mind living in this scenario. But then as the book progresses, you definitely see that take a turn and you reevaluate your assumptions. Yeah, this is a great story. I really enjoyed it. A quick and easy read. Definitely subverts your intrinsic thoughts and beliefs about what hell is and what it means to be stuck in hell for an eternity. Or is it? Or is it? Hang on. Like I said, very original, a remarkable exploration of the afterlife. Highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars, by the way. The next book is one that I bought for myself from The Broken Binding, and that is Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've read Children of Time, and I also have another one of his series. What is it? Shards of Earth, I think it is. I really enjoy Adrian Tchaikovsky's writing style. He talks about kind of future-esque sci-fi type stuff, but they're all very relevant to current events and current issues. I feel like he is really just a stellar sci-fi writer. This book, from what I understand, is a first contact story. So it's a commercial expedition to a distant star system where they discover a pitch black moon alive with radioactivity. There's a catastrophic accident that sends the scientists towards its inhospitable surface in a barely adequate escape pod where they are forced to crash land alone. It is a grueling journey across land, sea, and air in search of salvation. Their progress is shadowed by Shroud's extraordinary alien life. Yet are these monstrous creatures more frightening than threatening, or does something truly unprecedented lurk on the hostile moon? I know that his other book that I read, it was humans versus like giant spiders. And so I wonder if this is something similar to that, in which the alien is a non-human type of life form. I am really excited to get to this one. It doesn't look super big. Yeah, it's like just over 400 pages. So I feel like it's something that I could read through pretty quickly. Next, I have Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. So I read The Handmaid's Tale, I want to say, it's been a few years ago now. But recently we watched The Handmaid's Tale on TV, like the TV series, and it just brought me back to the experience of reading that book and just how remarkable Margaret Atwood's writing is, and the way she cultivates these gripping tales of like this dystopian future setting, and just how she takes the average and mundane and turns it into something so horrifying. She really has such a fantastic imagination, and it's pretty disturbing. And so I actually heard about this book on the Fantasy Network's channel when he was talking about Margaret Atwood. And from what I understand, this is the first book in a trilogy, and it is a unforgettable love story, a compelling vision of the future. It follows Snowman, also known as Jimmy, before mankind was overwhelmed by a plague, in which he's struggling to survive in this world where he may be the last human. And all the while he is mourning the loss of his best friend Crake and the beautiful and elusive Oryx, whom they both loved. So again, just her reimagining of what the future of humanity could look like, and I am really excited to see what she has to offer in this tale. I do have yet another Margaret Atwood book, and that is Alias Grace. So this is a little bit different from the other two that I just talked about, in which this is based on a true event. It takes place in 1843, and it follows Grace Marks, who has been convicted for her involvement in the vicious murders of her employer. Some believe that she is innocent, others think that she is evil and insane. She's now serving a life sentence and claims to have no memory of the murders. It is based on an actual case that is captivating, disturbing, and unforgettable. And so I believe it is more of a mystery thriller, and it definitely involves mental health, and that is as much as I know about it. But I have again heard from a few people that this is one of their favorite books, this and Oryx and Crake as well. And then I also picked up The Penelopead by Margaret Atwood. And so this is more of a fantasy retelling, I believe. It is about Penelope, immortalized in legend and myth as the devoted wife of Odysseus, silently weaving, unpicking, and weaving again as she waits for her husband's return. Now she wanders the underworld, spinning a different kind of thread, her own side of the story, a tale of lust, greed, and murder. I love a good retelling, and I feel like Margaret Atwood is the perfect person to take these original stories and turn them on their head and twist them into something magnificent. So I have high hopes for this one. It's rather short. It is just under 200 pages. Okay, this next book I also discovered while watching the Fantasy Network, and it is Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. And from what I understand, this is like a fantastical twist on a Western. There is also like witchcraft and demons, I believe. Yeah, so there's a bounty on Sadie's head, a bona fide witch hunter, and a mysterious mute ward rabbit on the road. They are joined by two vagabond cowboys and with a strong sense of adventure. Racing along the drought-stricken plains in a stolen stagecoach, they encounter monsters more wicked than witches lurking along the dusty trail. It's an epic horror folktale about a ragtag posse that must track down a witch through a Wild West beset by demons and ghosts, where death is always just around the bend. Yeah, this sounds really good. I'm not usually one to pick up like Westerns. That's just not something I gravitate towards, but the twist with the demons and the witches and everything seems interesting and like a rare little twist, and it sounds right up my alley. So I figured I would pick it up and give it a try. Next, I have another Philip K. Dick book. So I recently read Ubik by Philip K. Dick, and I do have a reading blog on that if you're interested. I can link it over here somewhere. Philip K. Dick is an extraordinary sci-fi writer. So this is Time Out of Joint. It is about Regal Gum, and he wins a newspaper contest. Then strange things start happening to him. He finds a phone book where all the numbers have been disconnected, and a magazine article about a famous starlet named Marilyn Monroe, whom he's never heard of. And plus, everyday objects are beginning to disappear and are replaced by strips of paper with words written on them like bowl of flowers and soft drink stand. When he skips down to try to find the cause of these bizarre occurrences, his discovery could make him question everything he has ever known. In Ubik, you get the sense at the very beginning of the book that it's okay, and this is what I said in the vlog, but it feels very black and white. You don't get a lot of information. It seems very dry, and you're kind of like, I don't know. But as things begin to happen, it slowly kind of morphs into this colorful, unique setting. It just kind of comes to life on the page, like as you get deeper into it. And I feel like that's going to be similar to this, where at the very start, you are confused, you're not given enough information to really know what's going on, and what keeps you reading is the pursuit of discovering what the hell is happening. You know, he gives you enough of these interesting tidbits, these curious happenings, that you can't walk away from it. And it just really evolves into like this special story with hidden meanings. He really has this like divergent way of captivating his readers, at least from the one book of his that I've read. But you know, he's a classic sci-fi writer for a reason. I feel like his stories are timeless, and that most people find the value in his weird, twisted way of writing. So I hope that this is going to be no different. This is definitely not one that I feel was really recommended to me, but it did stand out to me when I was browsing through the different titles that he has. Another one is the Electric Sheep one, which I can't remember the full title right now, but that's probably next on my list to pick up, and I do think that my library has it, so that would be probably coming after this one. The next and last book that I have is Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. This is considered a horror book, I believe. I believe that is the genre that it is filed under. That's what originally drew me to it, but after hearing Book in Hand talk about this, I feel like it's so much more than that. It is also really a exploration of like grief and sorrow and loss, which in itself is its own kind of horror genre, I suppose. So this is a book about Magos, whose son passes away, and she carves out a small piece of his lung. And acting on that fierce maternal instinct, the dubious logic, and old folktale, she nurtures the lung until it gains sentience, growing into the carnivorous little monstrilio she keeps hidden within the walls of her decaying childhood home. Despite her best efforts to turn the monster she created into a man, its innate impulses threaten to destroy his fragile second chance at life. A meditation on grief, acceptance, and the monstrous sides of love and loyalty. Cordova's ambitious debut spans the globe from Brooklyn to Berlin, offering a cathartic and precise portrait of being human. So I feel like I might have trouble reading this one, but also really have like a strong pull towards reading it, because I know I haven't talked about it on my channel at all, but at the end of December, my son did pass away. And so I've been really struggling with that loss and dealing with that grief. And so I feel like this may be a very like hard but cathartic book for me to read. Yeah. That's my book haul. I would love to know any books that you've picked up lately. If you have any recommendations for me for books to add to my growing library TBR list, I would love to hear them. And I do plan on being back soon with a what I've been reading lately, maybe a vlog. I know I've had a bit of an issue where I've been picking things up starting to read them and then putting them down. I think I've only made it through and completed 2 books in the past month. And I literally just talked to you about one of them. It's been a bit of a shit show and a bit of a mess, and life has been chaotic, but here I am, still doing the damn thing. Have you read any of these books? I would love to know what you thought. No spoilers, please. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.